thing.
I have a question.
So hanging on just a second, this is April 16th, Sunday night GU class 4, Dan and Josh's class. Go ahead with the question.
Yeah, did you have a time for the meeting, or are you gonna send that out to us later?
Send me an email because you guys may be not on the alumni email list. But it's usually 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I think it's on the 28th, but send me an email. For sure, we'd like to make sure. I usually send out stuff like that to the last couple of classes I've taught, just in case we have emails. I'm always looking for emails, right? That's what we do for life. Okay. Anybody making progress on their nonprofit for their grant? Maggie, how you doing? You got somebody or?
Yeah, I do. I got somebody.
All right, and have you tried going on GuideStar?
I did.
All right, super. Very good. Jason, how about you, sir?
Yeah, I've got 4 candidates, one of which I was having a little bit of trouble getting the numbers because it looked like they filed a short form on their tax return.
Okay, did we get you a second form to use? The ones that
I've just been using the syllabus form.
Yeah, send me an email. There's another form when they do the short version that we're letting people use now. And
okay.
I maybe haven't got it out to you yet. If you send me an email, just say, please send me the short form.
Okay.
We kind of try to find the same information a little different way, but and it's probably a little more work because then you got to chase them down a little bit. But anyway, we do have another way of doing it. Okie dokie.
I have a question. I'm actually having a little bit of trouble finding anybody that can get over like a 15.
Nice.
So there's one organization I found that I think they might be getting a low score because nobody's getting paid apparently, or it doesn't appear that they're paying anyone, and so like all their expenses are for everything else. Would that happen? Would that cause them to get a lower score in those last 2 categories?
I should give them a higher score usually.
Okay. Okay.
Where do you live again?
I live in St. Charles, which is a suburb of St. Louis.
Okay.
So
you can pick anybody in St. Louis pretty much.
yeah.
In GuideStar, there's probably at least 1,000, I would guess, and
Yeah.
so keep looking away.
Okay.
If you have a really, 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 really good one that you super like, go for it and try to figure out why they're a little bit lower.
Yeah.
The good news is at least you know it. From what we've helped you with, and then make your case, and sometimes it works.
Well, I have a question. What if my case doesn't work? So then do I have a backup?
You fail in life, but other than that,
I'm just wondering what if you don't accept the organization that I picked? So then
here's how we do it. What we'll do is, well, first of all, I know you can find somebody, but if you want to make a presentation on one like that, the presentation is really what you get checked off for in class. So like if you do a 15, you turn in all the paperwork, you do the forms, and you turn it in, you do a presentation, and you've done all the work. And so that means you would graduate from class. And we give you lots of time to find somebody that will qualify and that will approve for the money. Is there a certain type of nonprofit you're trying to find?
No, there's just this one that kind of has a special place in my heart, and it's called Christian Friends of New Americans. So they work with people that are fleeing their country, and I think I met the director at an event, and I haven't been down there. It's a little bit far from my home. It's in South St. Louis, but I'm really curious about it. And so I was just kind of I was sad that they scored a 14. So I guess I might just contact him and maybe ask him some questions or something. But I kind of have my heart is kind of for organizations that give people skills. So they teach people how to drive. They teach them how to speak English. They teach them, just give them support. I have another one that is more like job skills and interviewing skills and stuff like that. So I can always do that one. I could fall back on that if this one doesn't work out, but.
Okay. You can always try it and see what happens. There's a reason they get the low scores, and that's what you got to kind of look at. But anyway, it's it's always interesting when they get a low score, right?
One thing I noticed is I was scoring one of the companies, and I actually gave them a 1 on accident for the people they were paying, but it should be a 3.
Right.
So that flipped one of my scores from a 11 or a 13 to a 16.
Yeah, you can turn it in and redouble check the scoring, or you could ask for it to be double checked. If you really like them, say, please double check my scoring. And for example, if you see, we have 2 categories that are 10%. What are they?
The last 2, that's the ones I'm having the trouble with. The management overhead and the fundraising, they're over their percentage on both of those. So
yeah. Oh, okay. Sometimes if one's real low and one's real high, you can kind of by a little bit when you take an average.
Yeah.
But the thing you have to, if they're not paying anybody, I'm not sure why their numbers would be higher. If they're paying people, it'd probably be it would be worse.
I know, I'm just confused. Like, it almost looks like I don't understand. I don't know. I guess I need to look into it further. I don't know enough about the organization. I'm just looking at these numbers and I don't know.
Tell
So.
them, you can call and say you want to make a grant, because you do. And just say, I've been looking at your information, and it seems like everybody's volunteering, but I don't understand why your management expenses are so high. And let them explain to you what's going on.
Okay.
And I think start there. So anyway, thanks. Good questions, you guys. Again, if you're interested in Mexico, it's a home build. It's awesome. There's a home build also in, I think it's Kentucky. It's in the United States, and that's coming up also. And then there's big trips to Taiwan, Kenya, Cambodia. So there's a group of big trips coming up also. I didn't get them all there, but there's more than that, but that's just the ones I can remember offhand. We're going to talk a little bit about poverty, and you guys can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Fact is, I gotta remember to take the 10 and so let me do that really quick. So I'm just gonna ask if you're here. You might be right in front of me. Marco, are you here? Alicia, are you here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Speak up. I have to mark it on a piece of paper. Lucy, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, hi, Lucy.
Hi.
Were you here the 3rd week, Lucy?
No, I'm not, but I already took the class. I was actually going to ask you a question regarding the 990. I didn't find that in the class, or maybe I just overlook it. But why they don't have good score if they don't have government grants?
Okay, well. Okay, you just have to take a look at it, and if you have questions, let us know. If they don't have government grants, that's not the worst thing in the world.
Okay, because all they have scored big numbers and everything, but only that one score a point and only one.
Okay, what was the total they got?
For the statement of revenue, the grants, it was only 1 point,
I know, what did they get altogether?
16.
Okay, well, go for it.
Okay, I will,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then on class 3, 2 weeks ago, were you here and I missed you?
That's the one that I missed.
Okay, and did you make it up with Beth?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
I did.
thank you.
Thank you.
And Eliezer, are you here? Hello, Eliezer? Owen Hall?
Heyo. He's here with me.
Okie dokie. Hannah, that means you're here, right?
Yes.
Eliezer, you're not here. Margaret, are you here? Hello, Margaret.
Margaret or Margarita?
It says Margaret, Maggie.
Maggie, I'm here.
Okay, speak up. Don't be bashful. Even if it's not your name, just say it's me. Karina, are you here?
I'm here.
Nice. Haley, are you here? I saw you just check in. I think Haley's here.
Just my internet today.
All right. Your internet's bad. Matthew, are you here? I just talked to Matthew. Hang on just a sec. Let me ask him where he's at. I'm gonna mute myself just for a second. Okay, sometimes when I make exceptions, it doesn't always work. Like too many times. Okay, here we go. We're back to doing our class. Because we're gonna be done by 7.
Hey, this is Martin. You didn't check me off.
Oh, Martin, then you got an X in the box already. It's a good call though.
Okay.
One of the ones I'm showing not here is Eliezer, and Matthew. So Matthew's gonna have to explain that one to me. Of the 6 million people living back in the 1999, how many lived on less than $1.90 a day? Oops. Where is my slideshow? Of the 6 billion, how many lived on less than $1.90 of the 7.3 in 2015? How many lived on less than $1.90 a day? It was 28% in 1999. $1.90 a day is pretty thin. And in 2015, it looks like it improved by really a substantial margin. A lot of times when we look at poverty and desperation and homelessness, we always think everything's worse. And it's a lot of times because of news and political reasons and all kinds of things. And then the problem is everybody thinks everything's just terrible all the time. But there are things that are getting better, and at least, you know, that's not a big amount of money, but the improvement is pretty substantial. Do you think the numbers were getting worse? Yes, 2/3 of the Americans do. Africa, this is a whole separate issue. Of the 1 billion living in sub-Saharan Africa, what percentage live on less than $1.25 a day? Anybody want to take a shot at it for me?
50%.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? Somebody gave me
He
a
said
I said
50%.
50%.
50%, okay. Any other numbers?
I'll go 35.
35, okay.
Yeah, I will go on the lower numbers too. I would say maybe even the 25%.
Okay, so we got 25 to 50%. Let's see how we did when we announced behind door 3. 41%. So actually, you guys were pretty close when we aggregate it. And so that's, however, that is a lot of people. That's 400 million people, right? Yeah, that's a lot. And so when we look at poverty in the world, usually Africa's just at the bottom of the barrel. It's one reason we like trips to Africa is because we do a lot of trips to Nigeria and Kenya and Uganda and maybe Egypt one of these days. It's because they're the most desperate place in the world overall. Compared to the rest of the world, the poverty issue is much more severe in Africa. Okay, we're going to talk about children and poverty. How many children under 5 died last year from preventable causes? And that's a hard question to answer just blindly. And how does that compare to 1990? So we're looking at about a 30-year spread. And what are the top 5 preventable causes? Anybody want to give me a shot on that one, on that question? What's preventable out there?
Certain diseases.
I'm sorry, what?
I would say like malaria and other diseases.
Okay, malaria, that's probably a good guess. What, can you describe malaria for me? What is that disease? What is it?
I think it causes them to have, I think it causes them to not be able to like keep food down, maybe?
Okay.
Is it?
Could be, we'll look at it. That sounds right. Because we've all been diagnosed with COVID and how it's the worst thing going. A lot of times when you look at what's really going on, there's worse stuff going on out there. There's a lot of kids that died last year from presentable diseases. It's 4.1 million people. And in COVID, I think in the world, I'm not sure how many there was in the world. Anybody know what, at least what people say died from COVID, the total? Just to give us a comparison. Apparently we didn't care. So in 1990, the number was 5 times higher. So 20 million kids died in 1990. So again, I think that's an 80% improvement on the number of kids dying. And it's awful that that many kids are dying, but the good news is we're making progress. Okay, so malaria, you got it. Ding, ding, ding. We're going to give you a big prize at some point here. The way you prevent malaria is mosquito nets and hospital care. Pneumonia was I don't know if these are ranked in order. I don't actually think they are, but pneumonia is immunizations. I think that would be like getting a shot and antibiotics. And there's a lot of controversy, but on the other hand, there's a lot of improvement too. So you have to kind of be balanced when you take sides on an issue. Birth complications, what makes it better is improved hospital care. Newborn infections, breastfeeding and hospital care again. Diarrhea, clean water and proper nutrition helps fix that. So the improvement on the annual death rate was 16 million from from 1990. That is almost an improvement per year. And so when you get down in life, at least know we're improving in this area. Still doesn't mean we don't try to get everybody, some kind of health care. These are just basics. But that kind of gives you an idea of the reality out there. The poverty in the United States, of the people in the United States over 25 years old, what group of people are the most likely to be living below the poverty level? This is a really good question. So give me a few answers out there. What group of people?
Mental illness, maybe, or drug addiction.
Maybe mental illness, that's 2. Mental illness, drug addiction.
Homeless,
What was it?
homeless.
Homeless, okay. Good answer. Here it is, those without a high school diploma. Okay, and that's pretty fixable. But when you see all these places in the inner cities and some of the low income areas, and they're not getting high school diplomas, this is what's going on. And a high school diploma is very doable. They don't make it, that hard. But that's the biggest group that is most likely to be living below the poverty level. And so that's why schooling is very important. And the good news is these days, I think more people are paying attention to what's going on and what their kids are being taught. And I always tell them to stay after it because they're your kids, not their kids. Guess how poverty in the United States differs from poverty in poorer countries? Anybody want to give me a little reflection on that, or give me a little feedback on that?
Well, in United States, we have all the resources. I mean, it's very available. And in poorer countries, they don't have the resources that we have. So it's almost like they're poor because they want to here, because they don't want to work out for it.
Okay. So we have more resources. I also think maybe we have more available jobs.
That too, yes.
But there are some cultures where, they're not all that excited about working. When I was up in Seattle for my job this week, I was driving the freeways at 5 a.m. and I was surprised at how many people are on freeways at 5 a.m. But what it tells me is people are pretty hardworking people. And it's just not me that works hard. It's a lot of people that work hard. And that does make a big difference. The US has many safety nets. These are what we argue about all the time, is how much safety net do we need and how little safety net do we need. Experts estimate it would cost billions a year to end world hunger. Let's look at a few comparisons. How much oh boy, now we're getting personal. How much do Americans spend on weight loss programs?
It's got to be hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions, okay. Some of us have spent some of that money. And here's another one that's really, oh boy, how much do Americans spend on obesity-related healthcare? And, obesity is a problem. And, we, in our PC world, we're not supposed to say anything. And, but it's a problem. I mean, that's what gets people sick and early heart attacks, dying younger, things like that. And so anyway, we spend a lot of money on this stuff. Experts estimate that it would cost $44 billion a year to end world hunger.
Wow.
Okay. Anybody know how much money we sent to Ukraine last year? Anybody?
Billions.
Yeah, $100 billion. That just gives you a little bit of a comparison of like, what's really important. You know, what do people always talk about? How they're fixing people's social needs. And yet we're throwing away monies in big wars. How much do Americans spend on weight loss programs? 62 billion. It's a lot of money. So basically, we could cover and end world hunger just if we didn't buy weight loss stuff and gave that money, you know, to end world hunger. And here's the better one. How much do we spend on obesity-related healthcare? 190 billion. So we spend about 4 times as much on obesity healthcare. We've spent 4 times as much as what it would cost to actually end world hunger. Does that surprise anybody, or does that upset anybody, or should we spend double
Yeah,
that?
it's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Okay, here's another look at poverty. Is there a fixed amount of wealth in the world? Anybody want to give me an answer? Let's pretend like we're in a poker game. 20 people put in $100. So that would be $2,000. At the end of the game, one person has $2,000. That would be the winner. Did the total amount of wealth changed in that small environment in that game? And the
No.
answer is, because we're all really smart, is no. We just redistributed wealth. It was basically, we just moved it around a little bit. So is there a fixed amount of wealth in the world? And the answer is no. Let me kind of draw that out a little bit for you. If an area had no farms and then later has farms, there is new wealth. So if there's land and it's not being used, but then it gets useful, there is new wealth. If you buy a cloth for $1 and sell finished clothes for $5, there is new wealth. There's economic activity. If a bank or credit card loans money to you, there is new wealth if you produce something. If you buy an iPhone for $500, our number probably should be a little higher there. What do iPhones cost these days? Is it about 1,000? If you buy an iPhone for 1,000
Yep, around there.
and you drop it in the toilet, your life ends and there's less wealth in the world. That's a great example.
Well, they're waterproof now, so you're fine.
Your world ends basically. So are things getting better or worse? They're getting better. The gross world product is the sum of all goods and services produced worldwide. And in 1900, there was $1.1 trillion. And when we use money on here, it's all the same, adjusted for inflation and all that good stuff. In 1925, it had doubled. In 1950, it had doubled. In 1975, it had quadrupled. And in 2000, it had tripled. In 2014, it had doubled. And so what's going on is there is a lot of economic gross world product is growing. It's just easier to grow in a poorer country because the number is so much smaller. You know, the GDP in our country is hard to, I think we experience what, 4 or 5% a year. It's just because we're so massive already, it's hard to double or triple it. I mean, it just doesn't happen. But if you're a real poor country and you really connect on something, maybe you have oil, maybe you have, you know, the stuff they use on batteries for battery cars. Maybe you have nuclear stuff. There's some opportunities that happen quickly, and a poor country can kind of grow quickly. There's some questions. Why can't poor people just start working? You know, being the critic that I am, I ask that a lot, but I shouldn't be. It's kind of a natural thing, I think. They have to focus on staying alive. Their government is corrupt. So far, we're 2 for 2. You look at what's going on in San Francisco. We've done trips up there to the really bad streets up there. And it was awful, 4 years ago, but it's worse now because our government hands out and just gives them drugs. And people, they go to the bathroom, they go to the bathroom in public, they don't enforce things, they don't have restrooms. It's like nobody cares, and it's really sad. But that's because our government is corrupt. We give our government plenty of money to take care of things. Poor people don't know how to get started. They're stuck in their head. They just don't know what to do. And sometimes that happens to all of us, especially maybe when we lose our jobs. If we get really beat down a little bit and ashamed and feeling small, and we get stuck. And so sometimes you just have to really work hard to get yourself out of that how to get started mentality. There may not be any raw materials to work with. Can poor people escape from the trap with safe drinking water? That helps a lot. Education and healthcare. That helps a lot. Maybe one of the good things about COVID was that it helped a lot of people learn a little bit about being a little more clean, washing your hands, taking care of yourself, things like that. It might maybe help people a little bit with healthcare. Education and being an entrepreneur, like selling something. Seed money for businesses. There's like an organization I'm going to show you that's really exciting to me called Kiva. And have any of you heard of Kiva? Maggie, Jason, Haley?
No, I haven't.
Nope.
And okay, so we're gonna learn a little bit about Kiva. Government transparency. There's a nice one, limiting foreign aid that sometimes just becomes corrupt funds for governments that love to steal from their people. In many countries, the culture of laziness, somebody said this, must be overcome also. It reminds me of sex trafficking a little bit. I went to Cambodia on one of our trips, and sex trafficking's a deal there. And in that culture, what goes on is it's fine with the parents, and the parents are trafficking their kids, and the men are doing it. And they're not defending their kids, they're abusing their kids. And it's really the culture of laziness, the culture of they've lost all values basically of humanity because they're trafficking their kids. And they just lose the ability to live for something beyond themselves. And so there's a lot of that, that happens as a culture of laziness. Even in neighborhoods that really get bad and poor, I think that takes over. I was in Phoenix once, and I like to walk areas, and I was in a certain area where there's a big population of one group of people that we've absolutely funded a ton of money to. And basically they were all given really good deals on homes. And I'm just walking the area, and it's like nobody had any pride in their home. And when I walk areas, 1 out of every 3, 1 out of every 5, 1 out of every 10 homes will be kind of not very well kept. But what really struck me in this area of Phoenix is every home was like, nobody cared. It's because all we do is hand out money sometimes. What is the right way to end poverty? economic growth is absolutely the best way to do it. And that's very boring. And it doesn't sound very sexy. And, you know, takes a long time to do it this way. How do you grow an economy? Seeing money and training. Here's some of the possible solutions. Now, when I showed you guys, this reminds me, I forgot to say this. On the Lebanon video I showed you, if you notice, we went to one place where the guy had rabbits. And what they've managed to do, these guys are awesome. They were helping poor Syrian refugees that everybody hated in Lebanon because the Syrian military had abused the Lebanese people for decades. And so, but Syria is in a civil war, so basically everybody's coming to Lebanon. But they were working with such wonderful people that were refugees, that were farmers from Syria, that were carpenters from Syria, that were street vendors from Syria, that were whatever from Syria, and none of them could get a job. None of them could get food because they were a refugee. Anyway, if you noticed in one of the pieces of the clips of the video, there was a guy holding 2 rabbits. And what they found out in this one group that's working with all these people is that they give them is there's the same amount of meat on 3 really big rabbits as there is on a cow. And so what they tend to do is give people rabbits and rabbit food. And rabbits tend to breed much faster than cows. And so they found out a way to really get people food with rabbits. And so every time I teach this, I'm reminded of that trip. So they raise rabbits, feed the family, and have a surplus to sell. If you give somebody else carrot seeds, he grows carrots, he feeds his family and sells carrots to the rabbit farmer. This is how you start a little economy. Here's some proverbs. He who is generous will be blessed, for he gives some of his food to the poor. And whoever gives to the poor will lack nothing, but those who close their eyes to poverty will be cursed. I believe both of those statements are out of the Old Testament, or maybe of the Bible, and probably the book of Proverbs. Microeconomic lending. This is one thing that we're going to look at here, and that I really like. A definition: lending small amounts of money to train entrepreneurs to help them start businesses. Most successful ones use co-ops, groups of people that all must pay back in a lump sum and therefore support each other. And let's look at Kiva.org, and the payback rate is 97%. So if I can be, let me see what the next slide says. Okay, there we go. And I'll actually go to the website. But if you notice on here, it's Kiva.org, and actually I have a good Kiva video somewhere. These guys have been an organization for probably 20-25 years, and they have 22,000 people loaning money to people all over the world. And you know, none of us have heard of them. And so sometimes when we're thinking, how can I make a difference in the world? How can I help people? How can I be more than just a person trying to make money and, you know, watch Sports Center on the weekends? And so here's how it works: is you make a loan, you choose a borrower, make a loan, you get repaid and repeat, and the repeat rate, I mean the repay rate is 97%. And you choose to borrow, make a loan, get repaid, repeat. And there's all kinds of categories. So when we talk about what do you have a passion for, or what do you like, or what moves you a little bit, or you know what nudges you just a teeny bit, is Kiva offers just this wide variety of things. So if you're big into women's nonprofits, there's a whole group right there. If you're big into agriculture, you're big into shelter, like we showed video of homes being built. Sustainable ventures, everybody likes to be sustainable these days, and if you can do it, that's the best way, actually. There's war zones. there's education, and then there's more stuff on the bottom, but my slide ended there. And on Kiva, one of the cool things is there's lending teams there. And I'm a Christian person myself, but we have atheists in our groups, our classes. And so it's like the Christians and the atheists are kind of fighting it out for who's the best one that loans money. And so it's kind of fun to see. You can see there's messages on the atheist team. They're making a few statements there. And then there's statements on the Kiva Christians, but there's thousands of little groups. And actually, let me see what my video is here. Whoops. I have to go back. I think I have to get out of it for a second. Oh, now I have to go find it. Here they are. So let me see what my super duper video will be. I think I have to stop sharing for a second. That is still. Thanks for being patient.
One spark.
Okay, so this one's actually pretty good. All my videos are good, by the way. But anyway, just kidding. Let's see if we can share this guy. Here. On the volume.
One spark
You guys can hear that, correct?
Gotcha.
can change the world, no matter who you are or where you're from. The year is 2005, and Elizabeth, a widow and mother in Uganda, needs a loan to grow her business. Each of these green sparks of light represent a $25 loan from Sandra and 4 other people who believe in Elizabeth. Sandra is among the first lenders to back someone's dream on Kiva.org, and Elizabeth is one of the first borrowers to successfully repay the people who believed in her. Watch along as more people become Kiva lenders, backing the dreams of borrowers around the world. This animation shows 10 years of Kiva's lending activity and impact. In 2006, Kiva ignites into a global phenomenon. With more than 2 billion people around the world living in poverty, lenders embrace the chance to spark change. Roughly 75% of Kiva loans are to women. Women such as Isadora in Bolivia are more likely to use their income to grow their businesses, increase crops, and send their kids to school. Her loan was crowdfunded by 45 lenders, people including Deborah in California. After Deborah was repaid, she relent the same $25 to another borrower, like Gina in the Philippines. By the end of 2009, more than $100 million in loans are funded, and Kiva continues to crowdfund innovation by pushing the boundaries of financial inclusion. Education loans marked in yellow help students, including Miriam in Kyrgyzstan, finance her education, vastly increasing her lifetime earning potential. Her dream was backed by 41 people like you. By 2012, lenders have funded thousands of loans in conflict-affected regions to people such as Amadou in Mali, where access to capital is key to rebuilding. Alice in Uganda and other borrowers are able to take out green loans through Kiva. And by 2013, lenders have funded thousands of green loans for organic agriculture, clean cook stoves, and solar lights. Kiva is both a global and local phenomenon. Watch as people in the US, Kenya, and Mongolia lend to others in their own communities. And after 10 years with the help from hundreds of field partners, these 1.8 million borrowers in over 80 countries have a repayment rate of 97%, allowing 1.4 million people like you to relend that money again and again. And all of this change is being made one person, one loan at a time. It's been 10 years, and Kiva is still all about supporting each other as a connected global family. By working together, each of us can be the spark that changes the world. At kiva.org.
Okay, so none of you have heard of Kiva. But Kiva is awesome. If that's the only thing you get out of this class, that would be good. Because there's no excuses. I mean, there's something you gotta like there. The amount of money is really, really modest. And if you have kids or grandkids, it's a wonderful way to show how they can help other people by being a good lender and carrying a little bit. But I really like, that video clip is 8 or 9 years old, so they're doing even more now. But anyway, it's just awesome to see what they're doing. Any comments or questions about that, Kiva?
That looks amazing.
Yeah, and we have a Giving University group in there. We had, I think, a group of lenders, and so we don't do as good a job of keeping it up as we could, but there is a group in there. That's a Giving University team, and so there was some team members that were really very active in there. And I have money I've loaned in Kiva, and I usually let my grandkids kind of manage it. At least we're supposed to be trying anyway. And but it's just a great tool. It's a great tool for you. It's a great tool for kids. And there's the GU team right there. And we have 15 team members. It's kind of embarrassing. Should be way higher than that for all the classes we've taught. But anyway, it doesn't mean we can't do better in the future. But if you join Kiva, I don't think it costs anything. And I think you can make a loan. I think you have to start with $50 maybe. So if you don't have Starbucks for a couple of weeks, you'd be able to afford Kiva. So basically that's it. For next week, we'd like to do some organizational reviews because I think we have about 12 in this class. So if we started with some next week, we could do 4 a week, and we would get everybody done in the 3 weeks that are coming. If you have questions, well, some of you had some of them that were done, so go ahead and send them in. That's where you send them into. When you do a little speech, just keep it short, like 3 or 4 minutes. If you can visit the organization, that's great. If you can call them, tell us why you picked them, and tell us what you learned, because you have to do a 990 analysis on there also. And if you're stuck, send us an email and we'll try to help you out with some ideas. Okey-dokey. So, oh, you know what? I forgot to share my screen. You guys missed my beautiful PowerPoint here, so we'll go real quick. There's the GU team right there. And there's the 15 team members that we have. And then this was the last thing I was kind of letting you know about. So anyway, that's where we are. Karina Montez is now joining. Karina's a little late. Oh, Karina's been here. I think she got dropped. Okay, so Maggie, we're gonna go around the room real quick. You got somebody you're working on,
Yes.
and Hannah and Owen, you guys have people you're working on?
I have one that I'm looking into, but I haven't decided officially if that's the one I want to do.
Okay, so decide tomorrow. It's Monday.
Yeah.
We get something done.
You got it.
I'm just kidding, of course. And where's Owen? Did he disappear on me?
You just went to the restroom.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Casey, you have somebody you're working on, right?
Yes, I am. I have a couple that I need to make up my mind about it.
Okay. And you know how to use the 990 form, is that correct?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I did went through your teaching last week.
And let me mark a note. I need to email you guys the other form. I need to email you the time for the alumni thing. Okay, and Haley, do you have somebody you're working on?
Yeah, I have somebody that's in Loma Linda that
Okay,
I've been kind of researching. They work with like the children and battered families. That's where
Okay.
there's domestic violence in the home and they're just trying to find a way to get out.
Okay. And Alicia, you have somebody, oh, you had a couple, right? You're trying to find an 18 and you're finding 15s, I understand.
Yes, yes.
There you go. Jason, how you doing?
I've got 4 that I need to decide between, and one of them I need the help with the short form, the short tax return.
Okay, and I'll send you that. And also you can split them into 2 if you want. You could do two groups of 500 each if that's what you want to do. That's fine. Hey, Matthew, do you have somebody? Mr. Matthew, are you there? Martin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. And yes, I have a group called Vigilant Hope that I've evaluated. So,
Okay. And you're pretty close?
yes.
Okay, if you can remember, we'll try to start with you next week.
Okay.
And Eliezer didn't show up, right? I'm gonna call her.
No.
Somebody says their internet is unstable.
That was me. I disconnected for a little bit, but it kind of went off a little bit.
All right, you know,
When we're talking about Kiva.
on Zoom, you can also call in. You guys know that, right?
Yes, I believe to hear the audio as well.
Okay, so yeah, if you get stuck, make sure you have that phone number somewhere. And Karina, do you have somebody?
Yeah, I'm kind of between 2, and then I'm kind of looking into researching one more just so I can make a stable decision. But did you mention a little bit earlier that we would be able to do like a 500 kind of thing if we?
Yes, you can split them.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just kind of trying to make up my mind and then researching one more just to put
Okay,
it on the table.
and what city are you in?
Orange County.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
super. And Matthew, are you there? Did I lose you? Sure, mute button never unstuck. Okay. Listen, we'll be on again next week. One of these is, I think next week's longer. So I get to go over 15 minutes next week, just so you know, because I'm ending 15 minutes early tonight. So I keep track of time pretty well. And it's great to see you guys. It looks like you all had a good Easter. And hopefully tonight you learned a few things. Kiva is a really great, really a great group, actually. There's a few others like them. And but what I really like about Kiva is their repayment rate is so high. That means they're really doing, they're doing a good job of really tracking it. I did have some people score Kiva in the last class, and actually they scored a little bit low, and so we've been kind of looking for another one. I think they're a little high in the pay part, but maybe that's why maybe that's one reason their repayment rate's so good, is they just have to have more people really tracking payments. But I'm not sure. So if you have somebody better than Kiva that does something like that, let us know. We're happy to take a look. We just kind of give our official stamp to Kiva, but we're always open to things change in the world. And maybe somebody has a better idea. Mr. Bray, when he did all this, we're teachers, basically I'm just talking to you guys for, an hour and a half. But we also try to be facilitators and listen, and if there's better things out there, we for sure want to use them or help them in any way we can. Okay, dokie. So I will see you guys next week. And thanks for being a good audience. And if you have some trips you want to look at, email Beth. She'll give you the big list. Right now, the hot stuff or the immediate stuff is the service trips. And again, if you want to help us build a home, it's really just a fabulous experience. They do a good job. Let us know. We'll get you on there. Alrighty. Any last minute?
Thank
See you
you
next
for your
week.
presentation.
You're welcome. See you next week.